Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan. Happy Thanksgiving. That's what time it is. It is the weekend after. It's actually Small Business Saturday. We hope that all you listeners out there had a great Thanksgiving, got to spend it with friends and family. I know I got to spend it with some friends and family, and we had a delicious Daigle Farm-raised turkey. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the turkeys. We're going to talk a little bit more about how our pig herd went this season and the debacles we had post-butchering of the pigs. There's more. There's more than that, but that's what's coming up on the SGF. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. I am flying solo yet again this morning. It's quite early. It's when I do some of my best work before the world's awake. I'm gonna just kind of talk a little bit about how our turkey processing day went, how the pig herd kind of ended up, and some of the fallout from that. Now, I'm going to premise this story by saying we don't get a lot of angry customers. However, we were granted the experience of having said angry customer recently. Unfortunately, it was about their pork. Now, getting your pork back is a special time of year, which, having bacon in the freezer is symbolic to winter is on its way. This is one of my favorite times of year when we're finishing up raising animals and tending to the garden. We're just cleaning up, wrapping meat. And so those of you who know, we this year we raised 21 pigs. Okay, it was a lot of pigs, but we raised 21 last year, so whatever. So anyway, we raised 21 pigs, and 13 of them we sold half and whole. The other 8 we had processed at a USDA facility. I keep saying I'm going to have an episode all about butchering, and it's coming. It's coming because we're really going to be feeling the pinch here as local farmers in the next 6 to 12 months because one of the most relied upon slaughterhouses in the area is closing their doors. Very sad news, very sad news. Definitely going to create a vacuum in this area for anybody that wanted to open up an abattoir. You know what I'm talking about, those who are in the know. An abattoir is just a slaughterhouse, just a really nice way to say it. Sounds better than butcher, sounds better than slaughterhouse. It's not scary going down the abattoir, dropping the pigs off at the abattoir. Anyway, so that's going to be a whole episode in itself. But anyway, so the pigs, this is a good time of year. Everybody's getting their bacon. Everyone's getting their sausage. Life is great. Unfortunately, because the butcher is wrapping up shop soon, the motivation levels in the shop were below the floor. So it was a slower move than we've ever had to deal with. Now, if you've bought a half a pig or a whole pig, what have you, you know that we have a custom cut sheet that I made here, and you fill it out, we fill it out together, and as the butcher is cutting up, the animals, I'm standing there reading to him how everything needs to be cut, and he's fantastic at it. I think it's a great way to do it. I think cut sheets, if the butcher had a cut sheet, some butchers do, and then they'll just cut it however you fill it out. And that's great, too. I think that's awesome, but I like to be able to be involved. And we set up a 3-man, or in this case, 3-person. We had Cass with us this year wrapping pork. But we set up a 3-person operation, 3 different stations. Someone bags it in plastic, someone wraps it, that's me, and then someone labels it accordingly. So, anyway, that place is closing. So, because they're closing, they were pretty slow. And that's what I'm attributing it to. The guy's also old, so whatever. It took twice as long to wrap pigs this year, and that's really all that matters, because I scheduled everybody to pick up their pork the same day I was butchering, processing, cutting, all that at the butcher, because it's fresh, and we're also out of freezer space, so I really can't hold on to it. Luckily, it's pretty cold out, but that's, neither here nor there. Can't hold on to it, so it's a mad dash to schedule everybody, and I apologize for some of the newer folks that aren't used to the last minute, hey, I got 150 pounds of pork for you, come on by. I hate doing it like that, and if you hear me on this show, I'm sorry that it goes like that, but I am at the mercy of the butcher. And this year, it was very like, how about you come by tomorrow? It's like, oh my God, okay, great. So then I had to schedule everybody to pick up, blah, 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 blah. It's a nightmare. It's kind of a nightmare. There's much better ways to do it. The better way does not exist, which really makes us want to create a better way, like start our own slaughterhouse, because, the need is so tremendously high. And with this whole fresh food movement, there's enough people growing their own backyard meats now that need a local guy. I can't even imagine when more people are awake to the situation in our food chain and like, wow, I've got land. I could grow, a year's worth of chickens in 2 months' time. And then I don't have to think about buying chicken anywhere. I mean, it's coming. There's a bigger revolution on food on its way, I feel. So the need for an abattoir on a local scale that's not run by the government or inspected by the government. I know how that sounds, right? Inspections are good, I think, on this level of food processing. What I don't think is great is the exorbitant amount of fees that come along with the government inspecting the meat. Now, the local places only have to adhere to the state health department, and they all do. There's like the guy that we go to, he adheres to the state health department. Whatever the code is, he's good. He's inspected by some form of health regulatory agency, and they deem his place clean. That's important. What is less important is the USDA being involved in the processing of local meats. That is kind of crazy, and all it does is create a higher cost, not only to the consumer but the farmer. Like, case in point, the 8 pigs that we took to the USDA place, it cost me $6.11. My cost. Now that's buying the piglet, buying the grain, feeding it, taking care of it, trucking it, and then paying the USDA inspected facility, which has a ton of problems, but we're pigeonholed as small farmers into these awful end result slaughterhouses. And, don't get me wrong, some are good. I've yet to find a great one, that's for sure. But I digress. So it costs us $6.11 a pound to grow, buy piglet, grow the pig, right, and then pay for the butchering at the USDA place. All right, my cost to do it is $6.11 a pound. Like, it's not cheap, folks. It's a quality product, and it's just not cheap. And that is because the federal government is involved. Because when you go to the local slaughter guy, his fees are a third the cost. The folks that bought half and whole pigs off of us this year made out great. They ended up paying less than $5 a pound. It was cheaper for them to buy it from me than it was for me to raise the USDA pigs. That is insane. And anybody out there that has grown meat before knows this is a crap game as far as butchering goes. Okay? Very few options. Because there's few options, it almost seems like they know they don't really have to give a crap. They can kind of half do the work, and they're still going to get the full price. There can be mistakes because where are you going to go? It's awful. So, that being said, we had to go up a little bit on pork this season, which I hate going up on prices. Trust me, guys, I hate going up. I hate having to pay more. I don't want to charge more because I know how much I hate paying more for the same thing. But at $6.11 a pound, my cost, I gotta sell it at minimum for 10, right? Duh. And that's still, no pun intended, but not a lot of meat on that bone. For the amount of time and effort, money and blood, sweat, literally all that goes into raising 21 pigs. I mean, geez, man. You know? So we had to go up. And for those of you that change affects, I'm sorry. It affects me too. And, we're just trying to provide a premium product at a competitive pricing. And that's kind of our whole mission here. That's why we're simply growing food. We're doing it as simple as possible. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're exposing parts of the wheel that people have never seen before. And that's the best feeling. Educating people on it. Highly educated people have never been educated on food. It seems simple, but it's really complex because the food system has been designed such that we don't have to think about it. It's always going to be there. There's always going to be something you can eat, especially in this country. No matter where you go, there's something for sale that is consumable. I mean, every gas station, every clothing store, every store sells some form of edible something, matter. Let's say edible matter for humans. Everywhere. So it's taken the thought out of it completely. You don't really have to think about it because you'll find it and you'll live another day. So anyway, I digress on that rant there about the pig. So this kind of segues into the getting, we'll say, angrily spoken to. I don't want to say yelled at. She wasn't happy, I could tell you that. But now that you all know the background of the local slaughterhouse and that it's closing and they don't really care anymore, so it's pretty slow over there. And we have to schedule everybody, kind of down to the hour to make sure everyone can show up. And everyone's got different schedules. It's a holiday. It's a mad dash and it sucks. That is the worst part, really. Anyway, I was late coming back from the slaughterhouse that night. And I will say that customer who was irate did have to wait an hour. That is not okay. Unfortunately, it was out of my hands because I am at the mercy of the process. I'm not even really in charge of the process because at this stage of the game, because I'm working with another company to make sure everything goes the way it needs to go, and it's at their speed. So Anyway, I was getting angry phone calls as I was wrapping meat about how they're gonna lose their job because now they're late and they're going to miss their appointment. I mean, the story just kept changing, but they were pretty mad, So, apologize for the tardiness of the pork coming back, but let's get something straight. This product is a privilege because it does not exist in the mainstream ether. You cannot go to a store of any kind unless it's on a farm and buy this product, thus making it a privilege to have. I'm sorry that it was, not professional. And that's the worst part about being in business is when you start to rely on other businesses, vendors, it's like, it's out of your hands sometimes. This was out of my hands. Everybody else seemed to completely understand. And they were fine. They were just happy to get their pork because it's a hot commodity and you can't go to the store and buy it. This product is a privilege. It's a privilege to know someone that can produce that kind of product. Just like it's a privilege to know someone that can build a house, dig a trench, fix your lights, and to be on like a friendly basis with those people. That's the privilege of it all, But anyway, I guess I don't want to harp on that word too much. It gets thrown around a lot. But my point is, come on, man. Don't tell me you're going to lose your job because you were sitting around waiting for some pork chops. Why would you sit around and wait so long? I mean, I understand. I said you had to get it, and you even had someone else that could have got it that was already here. So it was a very strange afternoon, and after being at the slaughterhouse for 3.5 hours, I was not inclined to deal with unhappy folks. But the show must go on. So anyway, everybody else that came out, no problems. And then Wednesday, that was Monday. Wednesday we had another pickup, and then Friday we had another round of people picking up, and everything, thankfully, on those days went great. Let's see. So Monday we had to wrap, and then Tuesday was pie pickup and turkey day. So we had 13 turkeys to process for people that were picking them up that night. And that's what we do. We do the same thing with a lot of our meat chickens. You buy into the flock share, and then you pick them up same day we process. Turkey's no different. I don't like to do them the weekend before. I don't know. We've never had a problem with people picking up whenever we say they're ready. So we just do it the Tuesday of the week of Thanksgiving, and we give people like a 2-hour window at the end of the day. This year was between 3 and 5 to come on out and pick up the bird. It's already packaged, it's weighed, it's ready to go. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we had to wrap meat and meet with a bunch of customers, wrap a bunch of pork. And then Tuesday, we had to finish pies. Now, I didn't do much on Tuesday for pies other than put them in people's hands and bags or whatever when they came to get them. Cass was on pie duty along with Chef Kim. And I made the dough for all the pies, but those two put everything together and baked them and made them delicious. I had a pecan one last night, an apple the day before. I mean, primo. Those of you who got some, let us know what you thought. We've heard from a few of you, but we had to make 30 pies, so we were a part of a lot of Thanksgivings, and that's actually kind of the best part of it. So Tuesday, we had 13 turkeys to process, and it was just myself, our helper Kyle, who's been helping us with Chicken Day pretty much every day this year, and my dad. And then, after we started, our friend Peter showed up, who usually helps us on Chicken Day, so shout out to Peter, Kyle, and thanks, Dad. It went well. We only had 13, so we were done in 2 hours, maybe even a little less. I killed the first turkey before anybody showed up. It was at like 8 on the dot. And then as I was processing that one, Kyle showed up, my dad showed up, and then, the rhythm began. We also processed a couple of birds for a local couple. They raised 2 in their backyard, and they didn't have anyone to process them, so they reached out to us. We did charge them for that. But, it was quick. They were only here 25, 30 minutes, maybe even less than that. And we were already done with our birds by the time they got there, so we had started cleaning up a little bit. We knew they were on their way. But we were getting ready to do theirs, and they showed up. We took them out. We processed them, gave them right back to them, weighed them. And one of their birds was 27.5 pounds. It was a fat old thing. And the thing was big, but very docile. I mean, most domesticated white turkeys are pretty tame. You'll see on our Facebook page, I took some videos of Poe helping me that morning. I don't like to crate turkeys, cage them and stuff. They're heavy, first of all. And I only want to lift them once, and that's when we process them. but they're quite heavy. And it's a great thing that we have Poe, our border collie, because he learned how to herd animals through herding our turkeys a few seasons back. So he loves when the turkeys are on the farm and we move them around from pen to pasture and pasture to pen and blah, 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 blah. So I took a video of Poe helping me get them out of their pen that morning and walking them over to a pen right by our processing zone. And yeah, I didn't have to pick them up until we were, well, I didn't end up grabbing them until they were just ready to be plucked, basically. Except for the first one. I got the first one. Actually, I think I killed the first two. All right, either way. So yeah, Poe, he brought them over for me. We had two different pens of turkeys. One was pretty far away. The other one was semi far away. It wasn't that bad, but it was cool because, again, I didn't have to lift him. The dog did the hard work there. And he's good at it and loves it. So anyway, we did the 13 birds. Our smallest was 12. We had a little hen, okay, but then the next smallest was 15, and then the next smallest was 18. So most of them were 18 to 25 and a half pounds. We had the 25 and a half pound one for our Thanksgiving down at Cassidy's aunt's. Her aunt always gets a turkey from us, so we get to go and enjoy it, which is great. And yeah, the thing was delicious. She cooked that yesterday for quite a while, but it wasn't dry. It was delicious. We took some home, ate some last night. Oh wait, today's Saturday. Yeah, ate some the same night. Ate some more yesterday morning. I mean, it's turkey season, I never get sick of turkey. It's just good meat, especially our farm fresh ones. They're living on the grass and eating local grain. They're not buttables. But anyway, whatever. We had a bunch of people that wait till last minute that reach out like, hey, you got a turkey? Hey, you got a turkey? And I know farms that do this. They'll buy in turkeys, okay, from like Pennsylvania growers, and they will sell them, and it's unfortunate that there's always something with everything in local agriculture that is a little mischievous, especially like holiday stuff. But whatever. So they'll buy in these turkeys that are basically finished. They'll process them, but they're fully grown. The local person will process them and be like, oh yeah, we processed 40 turkeys this year. Processed, right? At least they're not lying. They didn't say we raised. They said we processed and sold, right? Totally being honest at that, but the person thinks they raised them. I've even seen their ad online where it says like working with another local farm, but they're not. It's from a meat grower in Pennsylvania. Blows my mind. People buy it up. They're just like, oh yeah, great, love it, local. Not true. If you don't see that thing living on their farm, it's tough to believe that it was theirs. That's just my opinion. You figure it out for yourself. You can see our turkeys, and you can hear them when you come, so, hey, whatever. Unfortunately, they also cash in on those last-minute people, and usually will charge a little bit more. And to me, no. We never have any available because it's all pre-order, and then we have a buffer. And if it's like day before and I don't think we're going to have a predator attack or just lose a bunch of turkeys for no reason, then yeah, I'll sell a turkey last minute out of the buffer zone that we keep of like 5 to 10. I didn't get to have that this year. We had too many predators. So we had the exact amount we needed for the past month, which I probably have been losing sleep over. Because, it's awful. I've actually been sleeping pretty good since those turkeys and pigs have left. But hey, it's just that time of year. Less to do and less stress because, people are counting on your turkey for Thanksgiving. So whatever. That stress is gonzo. Now we just have layer hens, and their production's picking up quite a bit. We're just a little over 7 dozen on a regular basis daily. We'll probably top out at like 9, which I think we're gonna, slowly hit here. Lighting a wood stove in the barn is always a big game changer for the hens. They love the warmth keeps them happy, keeps them laying, keeps me warm. So, hey, I get it. But anyway, yeah, so the turkeys, pretty good year as far as size goes. Last year they were a little bit smaller. Also a different breed of turkey, which that's also hard to find, you know. Someone that'll process them, because the USDA place in Rhode Island that processes poultry, they will do your turkeys. You need to book those days a year in advance, literally. Like right now, if you haven't booked it, you probably won't get one for next year. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, last I took birds to them, and I only did that because I was growing these turkeys for other farm stands. We had a lot that year, so I grew, I think we had like 40, something like that, and 25 of them? Yeah, 25 of them we wholesaled to local farm stands. So I wanted them to be USDA processed because, you know, they're reselling it, blah, blah, blah. So we did the right thing. It didn't work out for the farm stands because, I mean, they got the birds early, which wasn't even the big deal. But, and by early, I mean, we had to go November 6th. I remember it like it was this week. It was November 6th that year, and that was when that processing plant could fit me in. And they don't do anybody else's turkeys the week of Thanksgiving because they also raise turkeys, so they do their own. Makes sense to me. I mean, I get it. So they had to be done early. So even all season with these farm stands knowing that they already bought these birds from us, nobody did a shred of advertising. No one did any advertising. It wasn't my job to do their advertising. I had my own turkeys to sell. They already had pre-ordered them. They never advertised for them. Neither one of these stands did. And then they sat on them. They sat on them, and they blamed me for it. And I was like, hey, whatever, you know, but you can't, you know, they did sell. I shouldn't say they sat on it. They ended up selling a majority of what they got. I found out later, before the holiday. But, you know, if you're not known for it and people pre-order their local turkeys, like we're already getting people to pre-order turkeys for next year, 2025. We just had Thanksgiving, okay? You understand? So that's how quick it goes. So if you don't advertise and nobody ever knows that you're going to be having Thanksgiving turkeys, you're going to put them in your freezer and eat them at your own pace. So they ended up doing that with some of them. They did sell some before, like I said, before the holiday. But, you know, it just like left a bad taste in my mouth. And plus, having to go to the USDA place, pay triple the price. And I didn't even, stupid me, I didn't even include the butcher fee in what I sold these turkeys to these other farms for. So then I ended up eating the butcher fee, which, come to find out, was $20 per bird, and then they charged an additional like $5 a pound for every pound. It was over 20 pounds or 18 pounds. It was weird. It was weird. So it's $20 flat. Then, you know, you got a 28-pound turkey, you're paying an additional $40. Now I got $60 into processing this friggin' animal? Come on. That's crazy. Plus 50 to raise it, then you gotta sell it. You gotta make 200 on it because what's the point? I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. And it's applicable to chickens because anybody that goes to a USDA plant for their chickens like that, they're in the same pigeonhole game, man. Got to charge an exorbitant amount because Uncle Sam is taking his cut. His cut. I don't even blame the butcher. They got to pay him. They got to pay their inspector who works for the government. As the owner of the business, like the business has to pay the federal employee. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. It's also why they charge so much. Whatever. Local's better. Those of you who know, you know. But anyway, Turkey Day was seamless. You know, Kyle was a great help. My dad was a great help. I mainly just had my dad peeling gizzards because some people want them, and it's a process. And, keeps them relatively clean. Just doing one task like that. So, and he's good at it. So we processed a couple for a couple local people, and then ours, and then so we were done, wrapped up by noon. A couple people started showing up right at 1 because we opened the stand that day at 1. We had a lot of people come out, which is great to see everyone. We had baked goods that people pre-ordered, like the pies. We had some scones available, people pre-ordered, and we had turnips and radishes and carrots, arugula, potatoes, butternut squash, everything you kind of needed for a Thanksgiving feast. Yeah, we also had a few people show up at 10 o'clock, and I was still covered in blood and feathers, and I was like, hey, we're not open, I hope you don't need anything. But it's also hard to say no, and they already came out to the stand, the weather was rainy and crappy, so what am I going to say, go home? No, I'm going to say, I hope you don't mind that I'm covered in blood and feathers, what can I get you today? Hope you don't mind if you get a little chunk of turkey on it or something, it's just, what are you going to do? You can only do the best you can. So anyway, turkeys are gone. The pigs are gone. The meat birds are gone. Layer hens are in picking up production. Still to be done, I have to put a new chimney on my greenhouse. I've got to light that guy real quick because it's getting chilly. I've been lighting the stove in the barn, like I said before. It's been helping out the hens, helps me out. It's nice in here. But the greenhouse, I got to light that up. It's full of cordwood. The stove is ready to go, except I just got to replace all the outside metal stovepipe, which it's not that hard. It's not about the tediousness of it. It's really just like the expense. It's kind of crazy. I was going to put a masonry block, like a block chimney attached to my greenhouse this year. I just ran out of time and wherewithal, I suppose. So I'm just going to replace the metal one this year, which will be cheaper, but not long lasting, because you only get about 1 year out of the stovepipe if it's exposed like it is on our greenhouse, and it's just like, geez, man. And the metal, obviously the metal is more and more inferior, and just continues to degrade at a quicker pace. So that sucks. Anyway, we're gonna get a block chimney on it, but I gotta light that stove. It's been getting cold. Luckily, the arugula, the romaine, the dill, spinach, and 2 varieties of turnips that we currently have growing in there can deal with the cold. I've still been harvesting them. They're very tasty. There's no issues with it. They don't look great in the morning, but by 10, 11 o'clock a.m., they're starting to perk up. The frost is off them, and they're ready to be picked. But that, the greenhouse is a microclimate all on its own, especially this time of year. And, just gotta get the heat going. But anyway, so we also, I got this little side story here. I guess I'll close with this. We had 6 pigs to load on Sunday, this past Sunday, to drop off from Monday morning. And I had probably 5 of them on within 30 minutes, okay? It took us an additional hour and a half to get 1 more pig on, because they didn't want to go. They just didn't want to go into the trailer. Now, see, with pigs, you can't force them to do anything. And, I guess you could say with a cow, you could put a halter on it or a rope lead and move it around, it'd probably follow you. That doesn't work with a pig. No. No. Pigs are just muscle with legs, like a giant bicep that just walks around and pushes things over. It's crazy. That being said, aside from being animals that are relatively easy to agitate, they're huge. So you really can't, the human will cannot be bent for the pig. You know what I mean? What am I trying to say? We can't bend a pig's will. Our will cannot. We can't get a pig to do anything. Sorry. Unless you started really early and you're training it, but that's not the case here. So anyway, pig did not want to go into the catch pen where the pumpkin was, because we usually use pumpkin to lure them in. I mean, they love pumpkin, so it's a good last meal. And we built a gate, and we tried to, like, we had it in the catch pen, and we built this gate. And then something happened that I've never seen in my 12 years of raising pigs. This pig jumped. This 350, 400-ish pound pig jumped like 3 feet in the air, landed on top of this makeshift gate we built out of 1x material. It's like thin wood, for those of you who don't know. And broke it. Smashed it to pieces. Now, Elliot was there. Elliot raises pigs. We raise pigs, quasi together. We get them from the same place at the same time. We bring them to the butcher at the same time. We wrap meat together. We've been doing that for years now. And Elliot was there helping me try to get him in the trailer, and he had never seen anything like that. I had never seen anything like that. Neither had my dad. So when a pig does that, you got no standing. Because all you had was that wooden gate. That pig destroyed it. So we rebuilt it, put a piece of plywood on it so it couldn't use the boards as stepping leverage. And we tried it like that, but then it was just too strong and pushed us right out of the way. So what we ended up having to do, we have a little pig house that we built, and it sits in the middle of the pig pen, and the pigs sleep in it. So this pig ran in there just to chill, kind of be a little difficult. And then we just put that gate we built over the front door of the pig hut. It basically caught itself. Unintentionally, probably, but it basically caught itself. So after 2 hours of wrangling with pigs, this thing just jumped in the house. We boarded up the door. Then we had to remove a part of the fence. This is where it gets fun. And this was after it rained a little bit, so real muddy. We had to take down a part of the fence so we could get the skid steer with the forks into the pig pen. So then we could then lift up the pig house that had the last remaining pig and drive it as close to the back of the trailer as we could get it without giving access for the pig to get out. So that's what we did. And I got to tell you, there was a moment where I thought the skid steer was about to get stuck up to the belly in some pig poo and mud, because it was just spinning. And we just got the thing back from the garage. I blew a hydraulic line underneath the seat. It was the whole thing was down for 6 weeks. Really threw a wrench into things, which sucked. But anyway, it's back up, and I really didn't want to get it stuck because it just came home. It's just been, lubricated, and all the fluids have been changed. It's brandy new. I want to keep it brandy new. But anyway, my dad was in it, and those of you who have seen him operate machinery, reckless doesn't come close to what you're witnessing, okay? Sometimes he's a little like, what the heck? Whew. So, picking up a house. This is a procedure operation. It really is. So you got to pick up this house. You can't drop it because you're going to hurt the pig, okay? You got to come in the pen slowly. Maneuver so you can get close enough without piercing the side of the pig house with the forks. Get underneath it while maintaining on, like it was a slippery hill. It was just like, this is almost a miracle here. And it had to be, right? Because all the other pigs were on, 20 pigs had been successfully loaded, and most of them had been transported at this point, except number 21. Number 21, she got me. She got me good. So we get this house picked up. He gets close enough, almost gets stuck, drops the house. We get it into position. We take the door off. The pig walks right on the trailer, eats a bunch of pumpkins, is reunited with all the other pigs, and off they go. But all the other batches were 20-minute loads. This was a 2-hour endeavor. I worked for that bacon. It's all work. It's farming, right? It's all work. But it was just like, whew. Wow. You do a lot of work. Let's circle back. You do a lot of work like that, and you get yelled at. It doesn't work. Doesn't go over well. That's all right. It's all right. I think I told her, because she ended up leaving. The customer that had come by was mad. She had to get her half a pig. She was mad. She was late. She lost her job. It was my fault. That lady, I was almost home, and she had called me, and I said, I'm almost there, right? And so she ended up leaving. She was leaving. She was pulling out of the driveway when I was pulling in. So I stopped in the driveway, jumped out, gave her boxes, blah, blah, blah. And the last thing I said, I was like, I hope this experience doesn't taint the meat. Enjoy. And then, we parted ways. And I don't know. I don't know how it went. She lives out of state or somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, it was a lot of effort this past year with those pigs. And luckily, we built a whole new pen. We were able to get them in that. They beautifully cleaned up the land that we gave them this year. And we're just going to continue to move them around the farm and have them clear up the land, because that is what they specialize in. Nature's bulldozers. So, Turkey Day was seamless, thank God, and everybody loved their turkey and their pies. And we have one more pork day on Monday, but that's only 2 customers and 1 Chef Kim. Oh, so I don't know if I'll get this out in time, but it is Small Business Saturday, so we're going to have Chef Kim up here. I'm thinking she's going to do a little demo with our root crops, maybe making a coleslaw or something. Are going to be loaded up with our pork. We have tons of pork. Our bacon's back. Our chops. We had a rib roast the other night. Was 5-star. 5 out of 3. Okay, that's how good it was. But anyway, that's enough for this episode. We are going to be having a guest on soon who's an environmental engineer, a local guy, great customer of ours. And we're going to have a sit down and just chat, maybe clear up some things that people don't really know about in green energy. I know in the 20, 30-minute conversation he and I had the other day, I learned a lot. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there when it comes to like windmills and solar panels. But there are ugly truths. So we're going to be sitting down with him. His name's Kyle. And that'll be on an upcoming episode. Don't know if it'll be the next one, because we're trying to do a lot more content, trying to get more stories out there. We want you to hear all of the background noise that goes on a farm. When you just order from us for home delivery, you don't really know all that it takes to make it all happen. And even if you come out to the stand, you do get to see it, but you don't know the behind the scenes. There's always something. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and please, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on an upcoming episode, send us a message on our Facebook page. If you haven't joined the group, Simply Growing Food Podcast, you can find us on Facebook. There's a public one and a private one, page, that is. You could also reach out to us at Daigle Farm on Facebook. You could visit our website at www.simplygrowingfood.com. See our weekly menu. See all the upcoming events, and we do have a link to our podcast on the website. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. Bye-bye.